If you're giving your prospect the pricing options within like the first 20 or even 30 minutes of your final expense telephone sales presentation, you're probably doing it all wrong. I mean, just think about it. Even face-to-face, it takes time to build rapport. And your typical face-to-face final expense sales presentation will run around 40 minutes, maybe even closer to an hour. So with that in mind, why would anybody with a lick of common sense give you their checking account number and even social security number, without spending enough time or without you spending enough time to get them comfortable enough to give that to you? In this video, how to design your final expense telesales presentation, we're going to touch on everything that you should be doing and talking about while you're selling final expense life insurance over the telephone. All of this and more coming up after this. The number one reason most agents quit or fail at final expense telephone sales is that they simply don't build enough rapport. Therefore, they're losing sales that they should actually be closing. Just to be clear, it is normal for your prospect to try to rush you off the phone. In some cases, several, like 6 to 7 times during the final expense telesales presentation. Here's a free tip. When the prospect tells you they don't have time or they have to do something else and they're rushing you off the phone, just say something like, "No problem, Jerry, this won't take too long." And when they try to get rid of you a second time, keep going and maybe say something like, "Well, we're almost there, Jerry, just hang in a bit longer." Do not stop. Keep pushing forward with the presentation. Remember, you're not an order taker. You're a professional salesperson, so it's important to act like one. I'm Douglas Massi, and before I go over what needs to be in your final expense telephone sales presentation, please give the video a big old thumbs up so that YouTube will keep turning more insurance agents onto our channel. And if you haven't subscribed, do that now. We're putting out all kinds of new final expense sales training content on a weekly basis. Oh, one other thing. If you'd like a copy of the Telesales Medical Questionnaire along with the warning page that you're going to want to leave with every policy you sell, just hang around all the way to the end of the video and I'm going to show you how to get these bad boys for yourself. The warning page is a great way to scare off, unwanted final expense agents that might be tempted to replace your client with a different policy. And the Telesales Medical Questionnaire is perfect for keeping all your notes for your telesales clients while you're doing the presentation. There are 5 key parts of a final expense telesales presentation that you need to do with everybody you speak with. Numero uno. It's important to share as much meaningful information about the product that you're selling as possible and about yourself too. Since they will connect you with the insurance carrier, it's a smart play to tell them a little bit about what you do and who you are, along with, how long you've been licensed. Especially if you're an old timer, it's great to let them know you've been around a while. And you also want to make sure to get them off the couch to grab a pen and paper so they can write down your license number and your telephone number. Be as long and drawn out about the company that you plan on selling and maybe even the riders and how they all work. And even if it's just like an accelerated death benefit rider, you should write a story based on how it works and how important it is to have, and even tell them a story of how this rider made a big difference in so-and-so's life when he found out he was dying with cancer. Remember, the more time that you spend doing each aspect of the presentation, the more vested the prospect, your client, is, and the more rapport that you're going to be able to build with them, which makes this whole process just that much easier because more people will end up buying from you. Number 2, you need to relate to your prospect in order to build any meaningful rapport. At some point while you're speaking with the prospect, asking about the weather and what it's like to live in their state is a good start, but you're going to also need to transition into asking them about like the last funeral that they went to, maybe the last time someone close to them died. get into a conversation, ask everything from like who paid for it to how much it cost, and then make sure to share your funeral story with them. Remember, the trick is to get your client to give you as much of a conversation as possible while you're giving back to them just as much and even more if need be. This is how we get to know each other, and for final expense telesales, building lots and lots of meaningful rapport can be a game changer. So next, the third part is when you do the underwriting, where you check all their medication and health issues to figure out what product you're going to sell them. You know, you got to ask them a lot of questions. Then you lay out the pricing options in a way that gets them to simply pick an option. This has to be done in a way that is smooth and makes you look super transparent. Meanwhile, it should be done in a way that you, the agent, are in complete control. You'll also need to know what you're going to do if they don't just lay down and pick an option. Number 4, you want to be able to transition from you speaking with the client to the phone interviewer, the person that's going to be doing asking all the medical and health questions once you've closed your sale. I like to spend a couple of minutes reminding the client of our conversation and kind of prepping them on what's going to happen during that phone interview. And finally, you need to do a cool down. This is very important. The last part of the process, once everything is all said and done, you've already made the sale, you've done the phone interview, you want to get into a conversation about pretty much anything that's not insurance related. The same idea when you built rapport. This time, maybe talk about what they're doing with, I don't know, the rest of their day. Talk about like hobbies, what they like, what you like. Make sure you share a story. Get them to share a story with you. I like to talk about, fishing with the fellas, for instance. Back in the 20s, I used to have a commercial fishing boat, a license and everything, and I totally beat the coast up by Fort Lauderdale real bad. My suggestion is to take everything that we spoke about in this video and expand on it as much as possible when you design and write your final expense telephone sales presentation. Break it down piece by piece, add to it, then go back and add more to it. Our presentation is 20 pages long and is, in my opinion, the strongest final expense telesales presentation in the industry. Unfortunately, we just can't share that with you, with the public. It's only for agents on our sales team. For a copy of the Telesales medical question page, along with the warning page that you're going to want to leave with every client that you sell, just shoot me an email at doug@ufesonline.com. If you'd like information on maybe joining our final expense telesales team or even face-to-face, just send me an email at that same address. Remember, guys, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now, get on out there and do something good for someone today. Happy hunting.